There's a moment in every person's life when something inside them quietly shatters. Maybe it happened to you recently, maybe it happened years ago. But you remember it the day your mind stopped trusting itself, your body stopped feeling alive, and your heart felt heavier than your own chest could hold. I've had that moment too. For me, it happened at 2 a.m., in a dim apartment, sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at a version of myself I didn't recognize anymore. I remember whispering, "How did I get here?" Not dramatically, honestly. It was the first time I'd admitted to myself that life wasn't just off track. I was off track. And if you're here, watching this, I'm willing to bet you've asked yourself the same question. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Your mind doesn't break all at once. It breaks slowly, thought by thought, habit by habit, compromise by compromise. And rebuilding it requires the same process, just in the opposite direction. That's why the Stoics understood something most modern people miss. They didn't preach positivity. They didn't sugarcoat reality. They created brutal, honest rules, frameworks strong enough to rebuild the human mind from the inside out. And if you follow them, they don't just change your thoughts, they reshape your identity. Before I reveal the first rule, I want you to ask yourself something. When did you stop feeling like the main character in your own life? Was it after a heartbreak, a failure, a slow erosion of confidence? Psychologists like Dr. Martin Seligman call this learned helplessness, a state where the brain literally stops believing change is possible. It's not your fault. It's a survival mechanism that overstayed its welcome. But here's the twist. Neuroscience also shows you can reverse it. You can rebuild belief. You can rebuild identity. You can rebuild strength from the rubble. And the Stoics gave us the blueprint. The first brutal Stoic rule: control the inner world so fiercely that the outer world loses its power over you. Not easy, not soft, not inspirational poster nonsense. This rule demands self-confrontation. It demands discipline over your thoughts, your impulses, your reactions. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But how do you actually practice that strength when the world keeps pulling at you? When anxiety barges into your mornings? When self-doubt whispers louder than your goals? When past wounds keep replaying like a broken soundtrack? Rule number 1. Control the inner world, or the outer world, will control you. If there's one truth the Stoics knew better than almost anyone in history, it's this: your mind can be your greatest weapon or your greatest enemy. There is no in-between. And if you're honest with yourself, you've felt both sides of that truth. Think about the last time your day was ruined before it even began. Nothing catastrophic happened. No one yelled at you. Your house didn't burn down. It was a thought, just one thought. Maybe a memory, maybe a fear, maybe a quiet, anxious whisper of, "What if I'm not enough?" And suddenly, your stomach tightened, your energy dropped, your confidence evaporated. This is the invisible war most people never learn to fight, the war inside their own head. I didn't understand this until a few years ago. I used to wake up feeling instantly overwhelmed, like my mind was a room someone else had the keys to. One message from a coworker could send me spiraling. One silent look from someone I cared about could trigger hours of self-doubt. And the worst part? I assumed this was normal. I thought, this is just who I am. It wasn't. It was who I had learned to be. And Rule Hashon shattered that illusion entirely. You must gain control over your mind, or your mind will control your life. Marcus Aurelius said it simply: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Modern neuroscience proves he was right. Studies by Dr. Daniel Kahneman show that the brain is wired to focus on threats, even imaginary ones. Research from Dr. Judson Brewer reveals that anxiety isn't an emotion, it's a habit loop. and Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett discovered that we're not reacting to reality, we're reacting to our brain's predictions about reality. Meaning, most of your suffering isn't coming from the world. It's coming from the meaning your mind attaches to the world. The Stoics were thousands of years ahead of psychology when they taught that suffering doesn't come from events, but from our interpretation of events. And that leads to the real core of Rule Hashon. You must separate what happens from what you tell yourself about what happens, because the interpretation is where the pain lives. Let me give you a raw example. A few years ago, I texted someone I cared deeply about. Hours passed, no reply. My mind immediately filled in the blanks. They're ignoring me. They don't care. I must have done something wrong. They're pulling away. My heart started racing. My chest tightened. I spiraled. But guess what the truth was? Their phone died. That's it. The suffering wasn't created by the event. It was created by my mind. So how do we apply the Stoic rule in real life? How do we take back the steering wheel? Here's the method used by the Stoics, validated by modern psychology. 1. Awareness. Catch the thought. Before the spiral begins, say to yourself, I am noticing the thought that. This instantly separates you from the spiral. It creates psychological distance, what CBT therapists call cognitive diffusion. 2. Interruption. Break the pattern. Take one slow breath. Place your feet on the ground. This interrupts the thought loop. Dr. Judson Brewer calls this pattern interruption a crucial step in breaking anxiety. 3. Reframing. Replace emotion with reality. Ask yourself, what else could this mean? What do I actually know? What would I tell a friend if they were thinking this? The goal isn't positivity. The goal is clarity. 4. Action. Redirect the mind. Do one small action aligned with your values. Drink water. Stretch. Clean your space. Start a task. Step outside. Action dissolves rumination. Movement restores control. 5. Repetition. Build the identity. Each time you interrupt the mental spiral, you're teaching your brain a new pattern. Each time you choose awareness instead of panic, you're rewiring pathways. Each time you choose clarity over catastrophe, you're becoming someone new. This is how the Stoics trained themselves. This is why they seemed unshakable. Not because they didn't feel emotions, but because emotions didn't run them. Here's the truth. You cannot rebuild your life until you reclaim the throne of your mind. Because if your inner world is chaotic, your outer world will always reflect it. And once you master this rule, once you start winning the internal battles, you are finally ready for what comes next. The rule that rebuilds your discipline, your body, and your self-respect from the ground up. Rule number 2. Seek voluntary hardship or stay weak forever. If rule number 1 rebuilds your mind, then rule number 2 rebuilds something even more essential, your identity. Because many people today don't actually lack discipline. They lack proof. Proof that they are strong. Proof that they can endure. Proof that they can stay consistent with themselves. And the Stoics understood exactly where this proof comes from. Voluntary hardship, not the kind life forces on you, the kind you choose, the kind you step into on purpose, the kind that reshapes you from the inside out. Let me tell you something you already know deep down. Comfort is quietly destroying you, not dramatically, not suddenly, but slowly, softly, like warm water that numbs you before you realize you're drowning in your own ease. I lived most of my early adulthood in this slow death of comfort. My days weren't terrible, they were just soft, too soft. Waking up late, skipping the gym, just for today. Choosing the easy projects, avoiding difficult conversations, walking away from challenges that scared me. And it didn't feel like I was failing. It felt like I was taking it easy, like I was being gentle with myself. But somewhere inside, I could feel it. I was getting weaker, not physically, spiritually. And maybe you've felt that too. Psychologists call this the comfort trap, a state where the brain becomes addicted to convenience and allergic to effort. Dr. Paul Bloom from Yale University studies something called chosen suffering. He found that people who deliberately expose themselves to manageable difficulty become more resilient, more grounded, and emotionally stronger than those who avoid discomfort. In fact, Bloom says something profound. We require challenge to live meaningful lives. This is why the Stoics practiced voluntary hardship, whether it was fasting, cold exposure, minimalism, waking before dawn, or training their bodies and minds like soldiers preparing for war. Because they understood a truth we've forgotten. Ease is seductive, but suffering is transformative. Your brain doesn't build resilience when life is easy. It builds resilience when you choose to step into something uncomfortable and survive it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Meaning, the thing you avoid is the exact thing that will make you stronger. So, how does voluntary hardship actually rebuild you? Psychological insight has shown it rewires your brain for strength. Neuroscience shows that deliberate discomfort triggers neuroplasticity. Your brain adapts to stress in a healthier way. This changes your identity from "I can't handle this" to "I'm the kind of person who handles things." Psychological insight, #2. It breaks addiction to comfort. The more you avoid discomfort, the more fear grows. The more you face discomfort, the more fear shrinks. Your comfort zone expands only when you push against its edges. Psychological insight, #3. It builds self-trust. Every time you do something hard on purpose, you prove to yourself that you are reliable. Self-respect grows out of repetition, not talk. Psychological insight, #4. It dissolves anxiety. Anxiety thrives in avoidance. It dies in action. When you embrace discomfort, your brain no longer interprets difficulty as danger. Psychological insight, #5. It elevates your self-image. You can't hate yourself when you consistently do things your past self was afraid to do. So what does voluntary hardship look like today? It doesn't need to be extreme. Start simple. Wake up earlier than your comfort wants. Take the cold shower for 10 seconds more than you want. Lift heavier than you think you can. Run when your body says walk. Say no when your people-pleasing says yes. Do the scary task first. Put your phone in another room. Speak the uncomfortable truth. Sit with your emotions instead of numbing them. Every one of these is a small battle. But each small battle rewires your identity, because strength isn't built in the gym. Strength is built in the moment you hear your mind say, "I don't want to," and you answer back, "We're doing it anyway." This rule is brutal. This rule will feel like resistance every single day. But it is the only rule that turns weak people into warriors. Now, once you master voluntary hardship, you will feel a shift, a powerful one. But you still have one battlefield left, your heart. And rule number 3 is the one that rebuilds it. But it's also the one most people will never have the courage to face. Rule number 3. Detach from what weakens you, even when it breaks your heart. This is the rule people fear the most. The one that hurts the most. The one that demands the most courage. And the one that will free you more than anything else in your life. Rule #3 is brutally simple. Detach from anything and anyone that weakens you, even if you love it, especially if you love it. This rule isn't about coldness. It's about clarity. It's about liberation. It's about reclaiming the emotional energy you've been bleeding out for years. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I was in a relationship that drained me in ways I didn't want to admit. It wasn't toxic. It wasn't abusive. It was just misaligned. like trying to build a life with someone who spoke a different emotional language. Every month my self-respect got a little quieter. Every week my needs shrank a little more. Every day I felt myself slipping into a version of me that was smaller, softer, weaker. But here's the thing I didn't realize. I wasn't staying because of love. I was staying because of attachment. And there's a difference. Attachment says, I am afraid of who I'll be without this. Love says, I grow here. Psychology backs this up. Dr. John Bowlby, the father of attachment theory, discovered that humans cling to what is familiar even when it hurts. Dr. Amir Levine found that emotional bonds can mimic addiction. The brain literally goes into withdrawal when you try to detach from someone who is bad for you. And Dr. Bruce Lipton's work shows that emotional environments shape your identity just as much as physical ones. Which means, if your environment makes you shrink, you will shrink. If your relationships drain you, you will drain. If your attachments weaken you, you will weaken. This is why the Stoics were ruthless with this rule. Epictetus said, when something binds you, it is not love, it is possession. Seneca said, you must let go of the things that pull you downward. And Marcus Aurelius said, that which is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bee. They understood something we avoid. The things we cling to most tightly are often the things destroying us quietly. So, what does detachment look like today? It's not indifference. It's not emotional numbness. It's not pretending you don't care. Detachment is choosing yourself. Detachment is refusing to betray your own soul. Detachment is saying, I love you, but I love the future version of me more. And it applies to everything. People who drain your energy, habits that destroy your self-respect, fears that paralyze you, dreams that no longer match who you're becoming, versions of yourself you've outgrown, identities created from hurt, not truth. Detachment is grief. Detachment is rebirth. Detachment is spiritual surgery. It hurts because you're pulling roots out of the emotional soil, but those roots were choking you. You want to rebuild your heart. Here's how detachment does it. Psychological insight has shown it breaks trauma bonds. The brain forms emotional loops with people who trigger both pain and relief. Detachment cuts the loop and restores mental clarity. Psychological insight #2. It restores self-respect. Every time you walk away from what weakens you, you reinforce the identity of someone strong. Psychological insight #3. It stops emotional self-abandonment. Most suffering comes from not choosing yourself. Detachment ends that cycle. Psychological insight #4. It liberates your nervous system. Toxic attachments keep you in fight or flight. Detachment brings you back to regulation. Psychological insight #5. It opens space for aligned connections. You can't receive what's meant for you while holding what's destroying you. Let me ask you something, don't overthink it. Just answer with the truth that lives in your chest. Who or what are you still holding on to, even though you know it's holding you back? A person? A memory? A habit? A fear? An identity? Be honest, because rule #3 requires honesty sharper than pain. Once you let go of what weakens you, you'll feel something you haven't felt in years. Lightness, clarity, strength, space for new growth. And that brings us to the final part. The part where all 3 rules combine to create a version of you that is unrecognizable, even to the self who started this video. If you've made it this far, then I need you to hear this before anything else. You've already begun the transformation. Not because you finished this video, not because you memorized the Stoic rules, but because you stayed. Most people click away when self-honesty gets heavy. You didn't, and that alone means you are ready for a rebirth your past self never thought was possible. Now it's time to bring everything together. Rule 1, Rule 2, Rule 3, and show you how to combine them into a new identity that cannot be shaken, manipulated, weakened, or derailed. Because rebuilding your mind, body, and heart isn't about motivation. It's not about feeling good. It's not about hype or momentum. Rebuilding is about identity, who you believe you are, who you are willing to become, and who you refuse to be ever again. Let's start with the truth most people never face. Identity is not something you find, it's something you build. Psychologists like Dr. Dan McAdams describe identity as a narrative, a story you tell about who you are. Most people live a story written by pain, by fear, by their childhood, by their past mistakes, or by someone else's expectations. But the Stoics? They authored themselves. They chose their character. They built their narrative intentionally. And now you're going to do the same. Let's break down how the 3 rules reshape your identity piece by piece. 1. Rule Hashon gives you authority over your mind. Once you realize your thoughts are not commands, they're suggestions, the world can no longer hijack your emotions. Your old identity? Reactive, overwhelmed, pulled by every insecurity and every fear. Your new identity? Centered, aware, in control. Someone whose inner world belongs to them, not to anxiety or opinion or chaos. This is the foundation. 2. Rule #2 gives you proof you are strong. You will never respect yourself until you do hard things. Self-trust isn't built by saying affirmations, it's built by witnessing yourself show up when you don't feel like it. Every cold shower, every difficult workout, every disciplined morning, every moment you choose discomfort, you are rewriting your identity at a biological level. Your brain stops seeing you as fragile. You stop seeing yourself as fragile. This is how warriors are made. 3. Rule #3 gives you freedom to rebuild your heart. You cannot become powerful while staying attached to things that shrink you. Detach from what weakens you, and you create the emotional space needed for self-respect to grow. You stop choosing pain disguised as love. You stop giving loyalty to people who haven't earned it. You stop returning to habits that betray your potential. This is emotional rebirth. Now here's the part most people never hear, but you need to. The moment these 3 rules come together, your old identity begins to die. And that's uncomfortable. Your mind will resist. Your heart will grieve. Your comfort zone will fight back. People who benefited from your weaker version will push against your growth. This is normal. This is necessary. This is proof you are leveling up. Because identity death is always the precursor to identity rebirth. Let me ask you something raw and honest. Who are you becoming? Not who do you wish to be. Not who do you pretend to be. Not who do others want you to be. Who are you choosing to become? A person with a disciplined mind? A person with a strong body? A person with a protected heart? A person who respects themselves? A person who chooses their future over their comfort? A person who leads themselves before they lead others? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine that version of you. See how they walk. See how they speak. See how they set boundaries. See how they choose their habits. See how they look at themselves in the mirror. Now here is the truth the Stoics would tell you. That person is already inside you. You just have to stop negotiating with the version that came before them. Your past self is not your enemy, but they are no longer the ones steering your life. Your new identity begins today, right now, in this moment, not when you feel ready, not when life gets easier, not when the fear goes away. Now, because you have rebuilt your mind, you have rebuilt your body, you have rebuilt your heart, and the world is not prepared for who you're about to become.